Good afternoon, Chloe.
Hello.
How you going?
Good, how are you?
Very well. Good to see you. So just based on you wanting to sort of step into some exercise and begin your fitness journey as part of a sort of pre-fitness assessment and appraisal, what I'd like to go through with you today is just a bit of a posture observation, just to see how your body's aligned, if anything's out of alignment. Then we could sort of put things in place to maybe get those parts of the body to move correctly in the upcoming movements ahead in sort of like the exercise that I'll prescribe you with your fitness journey. So just for now, I've got a few, like I said, a few observations, a bit of an anterior posterior one, so just where you'll sort of face this way, front on, and then we've also got a bit of a lateral observation as well. And then after that, I've got just some movement patterns where I can sort of assess how the body's moving throughout those patterns as well. So if I could just get you, Chloe, to sort of stand flat against the wall, and what I want you to do, Chloe, is just however you feel comfortable to stand, just go with that. Don't have anything in your head or any conceptions about how you've got to stand. You just stand how you feel comfortable, and then I can just make the observations from there. Is that all right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Perfect. So like I said, the first one's just the anterior posterior view. So we'll go both sides, front and back, and then I can just fill out my observations from there. So we'll start with the lower body. Foot and ankle complex, okay. So you feel comfortable there, Chloe? So you like to stand? Wonderful, okay. If you want, just sort of keep your back off the wall so you're not resting against the wall. It's more just to have that view behind you. Okay, so lower body, left and right. Okay, so the toes on out, no? Flat feet. Okay, so in your feet there, you've got flat feet, yeah, okay, so we'll flat feet for both of them actually. Left and right. Okay, knees. Okay, so there might be like a slight bit of valgus there, Chloe. So as you're standing straight and your knees are sort of, your knees go in a little bit, yeah. So, which is not a bad thing. I think it's quite common as well. So both your left and right knees are both sort of bowing in. Now, Chloe, I'll get you to keep standing this way as well, so we can follow the anterior view. I can't really see much going from there. Deviation. Can you just get you to sort of keep your hands beside your body there, Chloe? Fantastic, right. Deviate. Oh, okay, so your left, so that's your right shoulder. So your right shoulder is a little bit deviated down, okay. That's from the I can't really see much from that posterior view. Okay, so cool. I might get you to turn around there, Chloe, so I can see you from the posterior view as well. If you go around one more time again, fantastic. Okay, cool. So there's no scoliosis there in the spine. Scapular deviation, right. So there is a little bit of scapular deviation. So Chloe, your left shoulder here is a little bit down in comparison to your right one. So your scapula's right, and then your shoulder's doing the same thing as well. So it's a bit of a deviation there on the left side. So your left shoulder, left scapula has a bit of deviation, yeah. As well as your shoulder now. If you just stand straight in, Chloe, as best you can, you feel comfortable there?
Yep.
Okay, so your head's got no rotation there as well. Okay, cool. So, a summary of that observation, Chloe. I will write that you do have a slight form of valgus there, which is where your knees are sort of bowing in, like we spoke about. And then as well as that, you've also got a bit of deviation in your left scapula and your shoulder, which is sort of pulling down a little bit, which is fine, which is normal. So we can put things in place to mobilise those areas, which could potentially realign your posture for the movements ahead. So that's good that we've sort of come to that there as well. So slight valgus of the knees. And deviation of the left scapula and shoulder. All right, cool. So moving forward, Chloe, now we've got some lateral views. Okay, so now I'll get you to do the same sort of thing, Chloe. If you'd like to just stand lateral, if you sort of stand, this is your little reference here for the wall being straight. As I've got no sort of string to hang from the roof or anything today for a straight reference, so we can use this. So if you just stand as comfortable as you can and sort of get your hip to be in line with that wall as best you can, and we can sort of go from there as well, Chloe. So. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So right. Okay, so ankle dorsal rotation. There's no plantar rotation. Ankles seem pretty good there, Chloe. Knees are definitely hyperextended a little bit. Now they're more flexed. Okay, so we'll say that your knees are quite flexed there. As you can see, you're sort of leaning a little bit forward. So we could sort of say that there is a bit of plantar rotation there, which could be, or even dorsal, as you're leaning forward, sort of, your ankles might be tilting up. So we will say that there is a bit of dorsal rotation there with the ankles, not too much, just a little bit. Now the knees, they are a little bit hyperextended. Okay, so a little bit, yeah, okay. Only a little bit. They both have a hyperextended your knees here a little bit. Okay, and so your pelvis. So yeah, just stand comfortable again, Chloe. Okay, so there's no anterior sort of movement there on your pelvis as well. So an anterior sort of tilt of the pelvis would be like where your pelvis is tilting forward, which is not. So that's good. Okay, and then upper body, Chloe. So there's no more lordosis there in your lumbar spine. I wouldn't say that you sort of have a flat back. There's a nice little curve in the spine there, which is good. Your thoracic spine to your upper spine, if you just keep your head straight ahead, still Chloe. There's no kyphosis there, which is good. There's no rotation of the trunk from what I can see. Shoulders aren't forward. What I'm sort of seeing, though, is your head is a little bit forward. Slightly a little bit forward, so we can put that down. So your head's forward a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Now, what I'd like to do, Chloe, as well, is get you to turn around the other side as well. You can just make a similar reference. So if you step back a step, Chloe, I reckon, back towards the other wall, if you go that way a little bit, not too much. Maybe take half step forward. Sorry, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that way. There we go, wonderful. Okay, so same as before, I sort of do see that you have a bit of dorsal rotation. As your knees are a bit hyperextended and it's sort of pushing you forward, it does look like the ankle's a little bit dorsally rotated there, which isn't a bad thing, like I said before. Okay, so that's the same. Your knees are a bit hyperextended, which is fine again. There's no anterior tilt of the pelvis, wonderful. No kyphosis, flat back, no. You've got a nice curve in your lumbar spine there. Maybe your head isn't too forward, or it's a bit of a half one. Okay, cool. So that's fantastic. Summary of observation. So Chloe, a summary of that is that you do have a slight dorsal rotation of your ankles, which is like sort of your knees are sort of a bit forward. And it's causing your ankle to sort of flex up to keep you stable.
Yep.
If you're going back, your ankles would be pointing down to keep the back side of your heel stable. So it's not a bad thing. There's things in place that we could do to sort of hopefully realign that. So just a slight dorsal rotation of the ankle. And yeah, so the knees are hyperextended as well, slightly, and a slight hyperextension of the knee, which could be coming from the hips, Chloe. But then, like we spoke about, there's no anterior tilt of your hips. But you might just have some tight hips that are sort of, it's causing your body to sort of lean forward a little bit. So maybe if we could put some things in place in the next coming sort of segment that would loosen up your hips, maybe elongate the hips, what that might do is allow you to sort of allow your knees and your ankles to sort of realign themselves and not be bent as far forward. So that's good. Wonderful. Now onto the next part, Chloe. What I'm going to get you to do is some of these movement observations, and I can sort of like see how the body moves throughout these movements. So the first one, I'm just going to get you to stand straight, and all you're sort of doing is a little sagittal step. So what you don't have to do is a full lunge. What I'm looking for here is just for you to take a little step. And then if you just keep repeating that, and I can sort of make some observations on those movements, that'd be fantastic. So we'll do one at a time. So if you just like to start with whatever leg you prefer, we can go from there.
So just forward.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. So that's your right leg. Take go for it. So medial deviation of the knee. Wonderful. Okay, so there's no medial deviation of your hip or your knee in that segment.
Foot.
No, keep going. As we can see here, your foot, it's not toeing out. You're keeping your foot nice and straight, so that's good. Wonderful. Now there's no pronation of your foot as well as you take a step there. That's wonderful, guys. Okay, so now if you'd like to swap to the other foot as well, do the same thing. Wonderful. You can take a little bit less of a step if you want, Chloe. There you go, fantastic. Okay, so there's no deviation of your knee. There's no deviation of the hip there. Fantastic, Stance, foot, the toes, there, that's good. Now pronation of that front foot again, keep going, Chloe, same foot. Fantastic, okay, that's wonderful. Now, what I'll get you to do, Chloe, is the same thing, but with the lateral view. So if you'd like to do the same thing, but maybe go this way this time, and then I can make some more observations again from that lateral view. Oh, okay. Okay, so the heel is lifting on the rear foot, So left, so your right leg. Okay, so the heel's lifting on the rear foot, So lifting the front foot,
Foot pad.
Keep going on the same one, Poor control of tibia on the front foot. No, you got some nice control there. Poor control of tibia on the front foot, on the rear foot. No, it looks fine. Excessive flexion of trunk, okay. No, beautiful. All right, fantastic. So now if you'd like to swap feet in, Chloe, wonderful, Okay, so the heel's lifting on the rear foot again, Wonderful. Poor control of tibia on the front foot. No. Good control of tibia on the front foot there. Wonderful. Same as the rear foot as well. No flexion of the trunk. No, there's none there. Beautiful. Fantastic. All right, cool, Chloe. Well done. Okay, so the next. So with that observation there, all I've seen is that with the sagittal step, the rear heel is lifting as you go forward, which is normal. As you can tell, I sort of do the same thing with that front foot. The rear heel comes up. So that's quite normal, I think. The next movement, Chloe, is a lateral step. So this one, you're just taking a step again, but it's more of a lateral step. So you're not looking for a full lunge. You don't have to lunge the whole way out. It's just a simple step laterally to the side there. So once again, we'll just start with whatever foot you feel comfortable, and then we'll swap to the other one again. So you go for this. Make sure you're in the camera there, Chloe.
So just over.
Probably go a little bit further, Chloe, right? There you go. Okay, so cool. So it's left foot there. So knee stacking over the foot, which is wonderful. Your hip stacking over the foot well, And your head stacking over the foot well as well, so that's good. Right, excessive flexion of the trunk. Okay. No, there's no real flexion there of the trunk, which is good. Sometimes in that lateral step, people like the trunk flexes right forward. Yours isn't doing that, so that's good. Lateral flexion of the trunk. Okay, so there's a slight bit of lateral flexion of the trunk. It's not excessive though, so that's good. That's fantastic. If you just keep, sorry, Chloe, I'm just going to check lateral border of the foot up the ground. So you keep going with the same one. Okay, and so, okay, so it's not excessive though. So as you're going there, your foot is sort of coming off the ground there, but it's not excessive. Lateral border of foot off the ground. I'm going to write yes. Okay, so that's your right foot.
Yep.
So, right foot. Okay, lateral border of foot off ground. Now, Clive, you just like to do the same movement with the other foot. So that was your left foot, sorry. Okay, so right foot. Yep, so your hip stacking over your foot as well as your knee. Is your head stacking over the foot? Fantastic. Yep, wonderful. There's no excessive flexion of the trunk there, that's good. Lateral flexion. So again, is your hips? Nah, fantastic, Chloe. Good stuff. All right, cool. Just one more time with that same foot, Chloe, just so we can check that lateral border of the foot. If you just do that same movement. Okay, so it's doing the same thing on both sides.
Yep.
So as you take that step sideways, your stance foot's really sort of creeping up.
Yep.
So it's going like that. Whereas if you could sort of step and keep that foot, that lateral border off the ground, it just means that you might have some poor movement through your ankle there, which will get fixed up as well, which is good. Okay, so this one's a bit more difficult, Chloe. This one is a transverse step and reach. So I'll just perform these little movements, and then you can go for it from there.
Yep.
So this one's just like a transverse step that way, and you're sort of reaching down. So twisting your body and reaching down, and then you just swap to the other side, which is that way as well. If you just like to perform that exercise, and I can sort of tell you if you're doing it correctly, we can go from there.
Yep. So sorry, this way?
Yeah, and you sort of want to reach down, Chloe, as well. There you go, fantastic. All right, cool. One more. Wonderful. Now I can make some observations from that. Okay. You choose whatever leg you want to start with first, Chloe.
Yep.
That's your right one. Okay. No, your shoulder seems to move well through that. There's no segments to it. That's fantastic. Spine. No. Excessive trunk rotation. So your trunk's sort of moving forward or back, which is good. Wonderful, Chloe. Yep. Keep going. Your head following your hand. That's fantastic. Are there segments to your head? No. Your head's moving well. And that stance leg is straight, so that's good. Wonderful, Chloe. Okay, now if you swap sides, Chloe.
Yep.
Beautiful. How's the shoulder moving to that? Good. There's no segments to that. Wonderful. Spine. Pull that on flexion. No, there's good flexion there in the spine. There's no excessive trunk. So as you're doing that, your trunk's not falling forward or backwards, which is good. Your head's following your hand. That's fantastic. Your head's not moving in segments. That's fantastic again. And your stance leg is straight, so that's good, Chloe. Okay, fantastic. I love that. Well done. So, cool. Okay, so from that we can move into the next part, which is like some foam rolling techniques to move, sort of promote some blood flow to those areas.
Yep.
So well done, Chloe.
Cool.